Have you ever actually stopped to think about why you use the specific apps on your phone? I mean, really. Today, we're going to dig into the surprising science behind our digital choices, and we're going to use the absolute explosion in banking apps as our guide to figure out what truly makes us, well, click.
So let me just ask you straight up, why that particular banking app on your phone? What was the final tipping point that made you download and stick with that one over all the others? Just hold that thought for a second.
Now, most of us would probably say something along these lines, right? It's useful, my friends recommended it, it's fast. These are the classic common sense answers. They seem pretty obvious. But what if I told you that the actual science says these aren't the most important reasons at all?
Yeah, to get to the real answers, we have to look past our own assumptions. And luckily for us, researchers found the perfect real-world laboratory to test all this, a country right in the middle of a massive financial tech revolution.
Welcome to Indonesia. The growth of digital banking here isn't just some small trend, it is a full-blown societal shift. It's creating this huge, incredible pool of data on exactly why people decide to change their habits so dramatically.
And just look at the sheer scale we're talking about. These numbers are staggering. For just a few of the major banks, we are seeing tens of thousands of trillions of rupiah flowing through these digital channels every single year. It's not a trickle. It is an absolute fire hose of people jumping on board. And this train is not slowing down. The number of people using digital banking is expected to hit almost 75 million in just a couple of years. This kind of rapid, widespread change makes it the perfect place to ask our big question.
What is the secret force that's getting millions of people to completely change how they handle their money? Why do they pick one app and not another? Well, that's exactly what a team of researchers wanted to find out.
And they didn't just guess. They got scientific about it, combining two really powerful ways of understanding why we do the things we do with technology.
Think of it like this. They had two different toolkits for looking at the problem. The first one is all about our basic human needs, the deep down why. Are we using an app to find information? Or maybe just because it's fun? The second toolkit looks at the tech itself, the nitty-gritty. Is it easy to use? Is it a good value? Or is it something we just do out of pure habit? The idea was to see which of these factors could actually predict what was happening in the real world.
So, what they did was survey 432 people across Indonesia who were already active users of these banking apps. They asked a whole bunch of questions based on those two toolkits to figure out which factors actually lined up with their decision to use the apps.
And the results? Well, they were fascinating. Some of those common sense ideas we started with, turns out they're not nearly as important as we think.
So here's the first big bombshell. The study found that how useful an app claimed to be, that didn't directly convince people to use it. And even crazier, social influence, what your friends and family think, that also wasn't the direct driver we all assume it is.
Okay, this is a pretty huge deal. If it's not about having the most features or being the most popular kid on the block, then what are the secret ingredients that actually make us commit to a piece of tech?
All right, the study nailed down 5 things that really do matter. First, it has to feel easy. 0 friction, 0 confusion. Second, it has to become a habit, something you do without even thinking about it. Third, and this one's a biggie, it actually helps if the app is enjoyable or even fun to use. Fourth, the price value has to be a no-brainer. The benefits just have to feel way bigger than the cost. And finally, you've got to have the right resources and support to use it, what the researchers call facilitating conditions. And get this, those 5 factors are incredibly powerful. Together, they explain over 60% of why a person decides to use a banking app. That is a huge piece of the puzzle. But hang on, because there is one final twist to this whole story, and honestly, it's the most interesting part. Because it turns out one of those factors plays a very, very special role. It's not just another driver on the list, it's more like a gateway for all our other motivations.
The most profound thing to come out of this study is all about that feeling of ease. It basically acts like a bridge, connecting our deeper wants to our final actions.
So here's how this chain reaction really works. It all starts with our basic human needs, like wanting clear information or having a pleasant experience. But those needs don't directly make us act. Instead, when an app satisfies them, it creates this powerful feeling. Wow, this is so easy. And it's that feeling of ease, that easy button effect, that ultimately pushes us over the edge and makes us decide to use it.
So, to put it simply, easy isn't just one factor among many. It's the channel that our other needs have to flow through to become action. If an app doesn't feel effortless, our desire for its information or the fun it promises, it just doesn't translate into a real choice.
Okay, so what does a study about banking apps in Indonesia mean for the rest of us? Well, it fundamentally changes how we should be thinking about the technology we build and the technology we choose to use every day.
This really puts the old thinking head-to-head with this new reality. The old way, it was just to pile on more features and then tell everyone how useful it is. The new insight, we should obsess over making the experience feel completely effortless. Instead of focusing only on what a thing does, we need to design for habit and even for enjoyment. The real key is to stop telling people something is useful and start showing them that it's easy.
So the huge takeaway here is that choosing tech is a deeply human thing. That feeling of effortlessness is way more powerful than a long list of features. And things we might dismiss as soft, like enjoyment and habit, they're actually central to how we decide. The best technology doesn't just solve a problem, it makes the solution feel completely frictionless.
And that leaves us with one last really interesting question to think about. If the feeling of effortless is a more powerful motivator than the promise of useful, what does that say about all the other tech choices you make? Your social media, your productivity tools, your entertainment apps? What does this insight really reveal about why they're the ones on your phone and in your life?